Draft your LCS team and earn money. Alpha Draft.
I think we're right about ready to get into picks and bans for game number 1, SKT versus Najin. Let's take a look at a few more points, though, before we do that. The win rate for Najin right now, 53.50.
This is champions only, and it's including, this is Najin Shield, and also before the Shield Sword split. So this dates all the way back to the formation of Najin, and Track Shield is the main team, and this is going to be SK Telecom Team 1K's win rate right here of 65.8%, an astounding win rate to have in champions.
It's an astounding win rate for any esport, man. I mean, if you're up in the 60s, you are one of the best. Absolutely. That's a really hard thing to do consistently. Numbers of Barons and Dragons fairly similar there, but you can see, of course, going more towards that SKT side.
Yeah, and this is for the preseason only, by the way. So you can see a little bit later, first Dragon timing right there from SK Telecom.
Key players. For mid, of course, Goong is going to be one of them for Najin mFire. I mean, this guy was just a monster back in the day on Ari, on Nidalee. Things have changed a lot. His pool was changed a lot, but still performing pretty well. And wow. 100%, of course.
Naturally.
Why wouldn't it be?
And of course, Faker as well has played some phenomenal Lissandra games in the preseason. And EasyHoon played very well as well, having some great use of Karthus, which was a bit of a surprise to see. But you can see the difference there. More long-range champions coming in for EasyHoon versus more engage-heavy champions, or even playing a secondary AD carry. So we just have some stats here based on champions. The first one is Zed versus Lissandra. Second one
is Vladimir versus Orianna, actually. And then finally, Orianna versus Gragas down at the bottom, just checking out some of those individual champion versus champion stats. As far as Goong versus EasyHoon, we've got Kassadin
versus
I'm reading Korean, guys. Kassadin
Zed versus Rise, and Rise versus Orianna, finally.
That's right. I didn't know I'd have to read Korean and do an English cast at the same time. They surprised us with this one. But yeah, as you can see, the stats, of course, generally leaning a little bit more in favor of the SK Telecom players. And EasyHoon, you got to feel a little bit bad for this guy because he is genuinely one of the best mid laners in all of Korea, but, you know, kind of playing second fiddle to Faker right now. And there is Reach, of course, head coach for Najin, been around for a long time, a very famous StarCraft player from back in Broodor as well, been in esports forever. Coma, meanwhile, over on the SKT side, fantastic coach, led his squad to a championship victory in Season 3 Worlds, and now trying to do it again here in 2015.
And of course, we do have other coaches in the booth as well. Most of these teams will have 2 to 3 coaches with them at any given time, and Reach looking quite handsome today.
As always, man.
As always, the man
That's
toss.
Right. The man toss. They called him the man toss back in the day, and they still do. Toss short for pro toss, of course. That's right. Wanted to make that specific because we know we've got people joining us for the first time, you know, on the Riot Games stream now, and you're going to learn a lot about Korean esports if you haven't been with us for a while. And so glad you're here with us now. But it is time, guys. Picks and bans for game number 1, Najin mFire versus SK Telecom. T1, you can see the last pick, last ban down at the bottom of your screen.
And for those of you wondering, we are still on patch 4.21.
Right.
Kalista has been enabled, so Rek'Sai, the only banned champion so far. And no, I want to see Faker's Azir, man.
I would be pretty shocked if we get to see that anytime soon. I mean, we've seen the highlights, right? I mean, everyone's seen the clips on Reddit. You don't want to let this guy have Azir. We don't need to have him play a game at the professional level to know that already. Janna banned against Najin mFire. That's just going to be a good general ban in general. General ban in general.
So it's just
generally
a strong ban.
That's right. I just love that word, apparently. And Lissandra banned. Faker had an amazing couple games on Lissandra in the preseason.
Well, not to mention that we've also seen Marin have a big impact. He actually goes through for an early home guard and has made some very impressive teleport plays. So flex pick for SK Telecom. Don't want to let him have that one too up in the air, really. Kassadin, one of Duke's favorite champions. Also, it's interesting because that's a flex pick for Najin mFire because we've seen both Duke and Goong play that very effectively. Duke playing at AP, Duke playing Trinity Force, top lane Kassadin, we've seen it all.
Well, the Gnar band over on blue side, actually, coming out of Najin against SKT.
There we
now
go.
Wanting to first pick that themselves, and what's the last band going to be for SKT?
Coma and Marin having an intense conversation. I think they were expecting the last band Gnar, so now they're going to have to change their plan a little bit.
I think so too.
Fresh.
Yeah, you don't see that on blue side very often.
take out the Thresh, or are they going to leave that up for a possible first pick scenario right here?
I like the Thresh ban, but do you really want to give them any choice of jungler?
Okay.
I guess they're going to give them that anyway. Yeah, Maokai ban. All right. And Renekton, I mean, Duke was a Renekton main back in the day, but do you grab that Lee Sin instead? What do you think?
I think you do. Bengi, well, Watch has never been the best Lee Sin player in Korea. Bengi had an outstanding preseason mechanically on that champion. He really looked revitalized in terms of his Lee Sin mechanics.
Yeah.
So pulling off some really impressive plays.
Well, I mean, the thing with watching SKT in the preseason is that the top lane and jungler, they just looked happy. I don't know how to explain it, but it just looked like they just felt much more comfortable being able to play the way they were. You know, Marin finally getting to be that aggressive top laner. We've all heard that he can be. And Bengi finally able to support a player like that as well. And they will take that Rumble away from Marin.
So that last ban, Gnar, normally you would see a Rumble ban against Marin. That has long been his best champion, stretching back all the way to the beginning of SK Telecom T1S.
That's right.
And he's been feared in solo queue on the Rumble for a long time. So they wanted to take that away first. Now, I'd be surprised if we saw an early Xerath lock here for Faker, even though he is exceptional on that champion. It would be bold, and it would open him to a Fizz possible counter pick here, and it would also bait out potentially an Ahri, which is a very strong matchup against Xerath. And
well, Goon plays plenty of Ahri too, and they're going to go with it anyway. I mean, this is something that SKT has done plenty of times in the past, is picking that mid laner early. And you can't blame him, man. I mean, if you're going to rely on anyone to handle that kind of thing, it's going to be Faker.
But we did see SK Telecom and Faker kind of fall on their face in the regionals for the Season 4 World Championship, just because they did early pick those mid laners. They allowed Faker to get counterpicked. And when you know Goong is a very strong Ahri player, you have to expect that this is going to be coming.
That was a long time ago, Monte Chris, so don't bring up those bad memories.
Well, I mean,
I don't want to think about that.
This is a very important rivalry match as well. Remember that Najin was the one who prevented SK Telecom from going to Worlds last year by beating them in the last spot in the qualifier and ending up as the 3rd seed from Korea.
That's right. Shield had that amazing run through the qualifiers. And it looks like it's going to be Jarvan and Sivir picked up for Najin mFire now.
All right, so they're going for a very heavy engaged team fight composition. This is actually looking like a comp that would have been popular about midway through Season 3. Of course, you have the Jarvan Rumble combo, and Sivir, a lot of these AD carry nerfs coming in, making a very strong return into the scene.
It's not a big shock to see these kind of comps coming back with the new emphasis that Dragon has in Season 5. The objectives become a much more important thing throughout the game, and it doesn't shock me at all to see this kind of thing popping up again.
I'm very surprised to see the early Xerath. I'm wondering if this is a trick by SK Telecom, if they have something unique planned.
Support Xerath, come on.
For this situation.
It's a thing.
And Bang will be playing Tristana, one of his signature champions. Will they lock in the Mundo? They will. So looks like SK Telecom really wants to drag this into the late game right here. The question is, will they be able to survive the early game? They've got a lot of scaling work to do right here. So much speed, so much initiation. Najin prepped to really kind of end the game in the mid game.
So do you think these picks, the Mundo Tristana pick, was kind of the plan all along by SKT, or do you think this is kind of a reactionary, we better just go for the late game now at this point?
I mean, they know what's coming, and Mundo will be able to survive, but SK Telecom is going to have a really difficult time holding on. The dive potential from Najin is very good. SK Telecom is going to have to be very careful with the way they contest dragons, with the Rumble and Jarvan able to lock up choke points around the dragon, and just the speed of the engage, especially if they just go ahead and select Ahri right here. I mean, the only thing that could screw this up is if that's in fact a support Xerath, but I don't think it is.
It's going to be Zed and Annie locked in, actually. A support Annie, awesome. Well, it doesn't get much more heavy engaged than a support Annie, does it?
No, and also it's worth mentioning that that has long been one of Kane's main picks. Now, he's played it out of meta basically ever since the Season 3 World Championship, when Annie became a big pick thanks to the Chinese teams. He's continued to play it even after a lot of the changes to Annie. So they're kind of going back in time here a little bit. And the Zed will be able to all-in the Xerath very effectively as well. Difficult to hit skill shots with the shadows and when Deathmark is used. Now Thresh maybe picked up. Thresh falling very far down the draft, surprisingly.
Yeah, it is a little bit shocking, and especially with a player like Kane that's known so much for his Thresh as well. You know, I would imagine SKT was kind of assuming he would go over to that side. But they've got a chance to pick it himself. Wolf, of course, a fantastic Thresh player in his own right as well. A solid all-around pickup. And I would imagine they're going to let that lock in. Yeah, they will. Okay, so there you go. Our rosters for game 1. What do you think?
I'm really worried for SK Telecom. They're pretty much going to have to lane swap in this situation, I think, just to delay the game as long as possible and not get this Mundo shoved in too early. But they're going to be, Faker will be able to lane relatively safely 1 through 5, I think, against this Zed. But once the objectives start coming in, SK Telecom's probably going to have to give up a Dragon or 2 unless they get some really nice poke from Xerath, or they get a TP advantage with Mundo. So there are a couple things they could do to actually contest probably the first couple of Dragons, but they really just need to farm it out, make sure they have good wave clear, get Bang, probably an early static shiv alongside that explosive shot, and just clear waves with Faker and Bang until they hit a late game power spike. But I would be very nervous to run SK Telecom's composition. I think it's a big risk when you have so many early and mid-game focused champions on Najin.
Yeah. Do you think there's any reason to lane swap in this situation, or we're just going to see standard stuff?
I think you definitely should lane swap if you're SK Telecom, but we'll see what they do, especially when you have a player like OQ coming in. So he and Kane are very good at lane. There's a high degree of kill pressure with an Annie.
You know, there is that vulnerability, too, that Annie brings to the team where, I mean, she's very fragile all game long. You really have to be extremely aware of where you are. If you get picked, it takes away a little bit of the team fighting.
All Kane has to do is just throw his bear and die and let Rumble and Zed and Sivir pick up the pieces. So
yeah,
it doesn't
as
really...
long as the bear is down, then you can die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your job is done. Run one round of cooldowns on Annie. You actually want to die to absorb cooldowns.
That's right. Well, here we go, guys. The very first game of Champion Spring 2015. Let's do it. Wow, Watch has grown in power so much that he doesn't even need to take off his hood now. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, guys. Match 1, set 1. Najin mFire versus SK Telecom T1. Champions is back, guys.
So we'll second look at this level 1. SK Telecom has a lot of people on the top side of the map right now. Looks like they do want to get some wards down early. Wolf will be discovered in that brush, so see if Najin is going to call this lane swap or not, or whether they'd rather just, they are going to call it. In fact, you see Annie and Sivir recalling immediately. So, but is this a mind game now that Wolf has been seen? Will he just transfer to the bottom lane? And
it looks like they might
the reverse mind game? Find out.
Nope, turning around to follow Bang up to the top lane, so we may end up with the duos facing off in the same lane after all. Looks like for now that's what they're planning. Faker already getting a little bit of early poke onto Goong.
Goong actually taking the longsword first. This is pretty aggressive,
yeah,
especially
no kidding.
with
That's bold.
Faker's skill shot accuracy. He really feels confident in his ability to dodge the cues from Xerath and be able to respond with damage of his own. So a little interesting. That's pretty bold.
Yeah, a little bit of extra AD as well will help him with a bit of long-range farming that he might have to do if he gets poked out of lane. And, oh boy, the cheese is strong with this one.
Oh, Wolf.
Oh, Wolf. He's going to face check, and he does. Takes a little bit of damage, but things didn't turn out that bad, actually.
Yeah, no charge stun onto Kane, so not too bad, but early trade, every little bit helps. And it's like Najin will call the lane swap and get the lanes they wanted, and this is a pretty ideal situation for them. They're going to have a lot more pressure early. Of course, OQ will be able to control the wave with his boomerang blade. Bang's going to have to wait to get some explosive shots. And the bottom side, Mundo's just kind of going to have to play back and farm with his cleaver. So lane pressure going early to Najin. And this is great for them because if they can chip away at these towers early, they can just move down to the Dragon with very little fear because they'll be able to push all the lanes up to the tier 2.
And Najin gets at level 2 a little bit first as well. You know, we saw Kane helping with the auto-attacking, trying to get that XP edge, and they will push Wolf and Bang back under turret for now. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, things going about as expected. Goong taking a little bit of damage. Faker does not miss a lot of those skill shots, and he's going to have a little bit of a hard time hitting every single one of those creeps. You can farm okay with the Q on Zed, but wow, direct hit.
Yeah, and the thing about Goong is he's really going to have to be going all in. As you take a look at some stats there at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, that's right. Looking at this specific matchup here, the points going again slightly in Faker's side, but not all that much. Goong has always been one of the top mid laners here in Korea, and we mentioned before, this is a big rivalry matchup. Both of these guys want to prove that they're the top mid laner.
Yeah, and this is a matchup that will tilt in Xerath's favor pre-6. And then if Goon gets some help to the jungle, Faker's going to have to play very cautiously to make sure he doesn't get all in and die. Of course, especially with Jarvan, Zed, your flash is down, you're pretty much going to die.
These teamfight engages from Najin are going to be one of the most fun things to watch.
Oh, yes. Very fast, very bold, very aggressive.
I'm really happy to see Annie come back, too. I mean, she's definitely one of the most fun champions to play, you know, in and out of lane. I think, wow, Goon getting very, very low. Going to have to use one of those potions there. But just being able to have that crazy auto attack range on Annie and then combining that with the Spell Thief's Edge, long distance farming, it's great. Gold farming on hitting people.
I'm a bit surprised by the longsword start instead of the Doran's shield, which I would have expected in this matchup. But Goon, yeah, he's just going to have a rough time of it.
Well, it seems like they're both trying to out-bold each other. You know, Faker's like, well, I'm just going to go Xerath first pick and ban. And Goon's like, well, you know what? I'm going to start longsword. It's all right. Yeah, well, they both kind of got what they wanted, I guess.
Yeah, Watch going for the Trailblazer. Well, we do see the Stalker's Blade coming in from Bengi. Pretty common choices on Jarvan and Lee Sin, respectively. Now, Bengi did get that Lee Sin pickup, though, and he has shown some really nice ganks so far in the preseason. And
he's going to need to have some.
Yeah, he's looking for an angle right here. He wants to get into the brush. Nice timing on that minion wave, so he'll be able to sneak right in there.
Yeah, will he be able to get an opportunity on this duo, though, for Najin? I'm not so sure. Nice ward going down just in time. That'll help well. That'll help Bengi kind of keep an eye on things, make sure there's no one there to counter gank. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to get any opportunities anytime soon. Yeah, Kane's pretty aware of what's going on.
He's not going to make a play when he doesn't have any eyes onto Watch right now. So instead, opting to go for a pretty safe ward right there, not walking too deep into the jungle, and that's going to trigger the Raptor buff onto Watch, so he will be able to take out that ward.
It served its purpose, though. It did. Just wanted to get an eye on where Watch was on the map, and now he knows. And knowing is half the battle, Monte Cristo.
As they say.
That's right. Well,
Bang doing a good job of CSing in a tough lane where he's being pretty aggressively zoned by an Annie holding a stun.
Yeah. There we go. W stun, a little bit of damage onto Bang. Shield for Multh prevented it. Prevented some of it, but yeah, still taking about half. And he's out of pots too, so it's going to make him play a bit safer.
Considerable amount of damage for one trade. Duke playing pretty far back right now.
Yeah, well,
he knows. Well, I mean, he knows that this is the dangerous situation to be in, considering that his lane is pushing up towards the top. And there we go, Goon on the roll.
Oh wow, Goon going in on the Bengi, and there's a first blood taken by Duke. Able to work with Goon to pick that one up. Not bad at all.
Fantastic roam right there. That's just good game sense from Najin. They correctly guessed where Bengi was going to be. They were actually, and they could have looked for a dive onto Marin right there as well. After Goon did pick that up, that Bilgewater Cutlass, that'll trigger Kane and Okyu to play very aggressively in the top lane. They don't have any fear right now, Bengi.
Whoa, flash flay. Kane gets exhausted as well. Can Bang get that kill? They're going to go in on him, grabs him, pulls him in with the death sentence. Kane flashes away. Will he make it? No, Faker comes in for the cleanup, and Bengi chasing Okyu. He's going to have to give that one up. Health pool just a little bit too low. But Faker with his first kill of the game.
That was a communication mistake between Okyu and Kane right there. They should not have split like that. He really left Kane high and dry, so it seems like they didn't actively communicate about what was going on. Bang on the recall, but here comes Goon. He's on the hunt.
Can he get out? He's in trouble now going into Okyu. There's the Lantern. Can he make it out? He will, but the under turret, the death mark comes in. Will Bang survive? No, he won't. There's a kill for Goon. He needed that. Oh, he died to the turret, though, and Bang gets the killing blow for that one. Meanwhile, Marin managed to get himself killed down in bot lane as well. Watch picking up the assist for that one, it looks like.
Yeah, Watch coming in right there. Interestingly, Marin didn't burn his flash, so we'll have to see how exactly this works. And SK Telecom, they're doing a good job of trading one-for-one right here across the map against a team that they really shouldn't be able to put this much pressure on early.
Right.
So let's
see
check
how this
out.
works.
Duke's just going to walk right in. Wow. There's the knock-up, and
pretty easy dive when the ult from Mundo isn't up. It was on cooldown at that point, and that makes an easy gank for Najin.
Yeah, good move, though. From Watch coming down there, and no ultimate yet from Jarvan, but Marin just choosing not to use the flash.
Oh, Mundo's one of those characters too that, you know, you can die a couple times early on. It's more about what he becomes in the late game, and it's not that big of a deal. Attempted blue steal from SKT, but it looks like Najin's got that locked down.
Great wards coming in from SK Telecom, though, just so they can try and make a play. And that's going to cause Najin to be a little nervous right there, especially with Marin kind of hanging out in the enemy jungle. We're seeing the lane swap back right now. Looks like Najin is interested in a little more dragon control as we close in on the 10-minute mark, and where it's a little more feasible to do with the dragon, especially since Duke has teleport advantage right now. When Marin just opted to use that after his death, now Najin has a lot more freedom on the map. So Najin should be playing to get some wards around the pit right now and try and find that opening in order to get the dragon. So Faker will probably try and play a little bit more aggressively at this point. He's going to want to push up that lane as well as he can, and the blue buff will help. So the key right now for SK Telecom is keeping some semblance of control over the mid lane.
They're waiting for Faker to come and try to get this blue, and there Kuhn goes way deep, manages to back off though. They're not going to be able to take out Faker, and he does manage to pick up the blue buff, but nice attempt by Najin there. Yeah,
and crucially, he also chunked out Faker, and so that's going to prompt him to go back. Now look at the damage Oki's putting down onto Marin. We'll see if they want to go for a dragon at this point. They certainly could. They may try for the dive first. Marin low.
Oh boy, here we go. Turret's low as well. Watch thinking about coming in. Marin slowing people down. There's a lantern. Can he get out? He can. That ultimate press the lantern. It's going to be okay. No, Duke coming in as well. The box lane defensively. Marin, his ult still Helium Wolf trying to save his top laner, and he will. But another kill for Najin.
And they got the turret as well. Now they can transition smoothly into the dragon. Now, SK Telecom, this isn't the end of the world. Faker's going to put down some decent damage on the mid lane. Bang's going to put some decent damage on the top lane. They're going to keep farming. They're going to push out those lanes. And again, if you're running a team composition like SK Telecom against a team composition like Najin, you have to expect that you're going to give up a few early dragons. It's going to be okay. And veteran teams will know not to panic.
Yeah.
It's fine. And they'll know not to commit to fights that they can't win at this point in the game. So instead, SK Telecom getting a little bit of pressure where they can on the opposite side of the map and making it work. Now they're only down by about 1.5k gold, and of course a dragon right now, so that's 6% in terms of
Wow,
stats.
I was going to say Faker could try to ult this, but Goong, he's pretty good at Dance Dance Revolution, man. He beats that one on heavy, and Faker can't pick it up.
Faker is the heavy of Xerath ults,
I was going to say, yeah, there's a couple other people, you know, I've seen kind of like novice level, like DDR Xerath ults, but Faker is definitely playing it on heavy. That's for sure.
And look at this, Faker just going for the zone right now. He wants that turret damage, he wants that pressure, and this is a very well played game by both teams so far. You know, each team reacting appropriately to the pressure the other one's putting out.
Boy.
Look at this.
Oh boy, time to dive onto Duke as well. Duke flashes, gets kicked away. Good flash. Bengi's ult going the wrong direction. They do get the turret. They'll be able to walk away from that, but would have been nicer to get a turret and a kill at the same time.
SK Telecom probably should have had better timers on the flash of Duke.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a mistake there, I think, by Bengi to go ahead and use that kick so quickly. All too easy, I think, for Duke to flash away from that one. Got to keep track of those summoner timers so errors like that don't happen.
Well, they've got the timer now.
They got it now.
They've got it now, yeah.
Next time it won't happen that way. But
they saw that flash.
Regardless.
Oh, they're going to try it again. Yeah, exhaust, no flash. 3-on-1, Duke fighting for his life. Can he get a kill onto Bengi? Possibly. No, Bengi backing away, keeping it safe. Here comes Watch, though. Can he save him? Duke running away. They're going to have to flash for it. They will pick it up, but will Najin? No, Duke's still dead. In fact, they got the kill onto Bengi. Now Najin turning it around. The ult used onto Wolf. They'll get him, and Marin is going to go down as well. Najin just seems unbeatable at this point in the game. Wow, Duke actually lived.
And
how did that happen?
He kept them there for a long time. Watch.
No kidding.
Definitely there on the backup. I like the idea that Bengi tried to pull right there. I think that coming back and attempting to get another kill was a smart course of action, but everybody just roaming up right here. You can see 3 people moving through the mid lane. They've got the pressure on the mid tower, so a little bit a little bit greedy, I think. SK Telecom did get the tower down, and now they have 5 men walking towards topside Najin. So without Faker controlling the mid lane, too easy for Najin just to walk across the map and make that play and counter gank.
That was just incredible, man. I swear there was like one screw holding Rumble's mech together at that point.
But in spite of that, SK Telecom, they will get another tower right here. We do see that early shiv from Tristana just to keep those lanes pushed out as expected.
You know, and we've seen so many occasions in the past throughout the history of SK, Telecom K especially, where they've been down in the early game and they've come back so strong and so immediately in the mid game that you really can't count him out yet. But this early game has been all Najin.
It's going to be a pretty big deal, I think.
Yeah.
And again, this is what you expect. And SKT is actually closing the gold gap, and SKT can even miss the next dragon. And yeah, this Rumble's getting pretty scary, but Mundo, a couple early deaths, not going to be the end of the world. Faker has a kill, and the late game damage. The scary thing is, like, what is Zed going to do in the late game?
Yeah, exactly.
Faker's just going to Zhonya's. Bang will probably get a QSS, and then you're not going to kill Mundo while he's ulting. So there is a clock here on Najin. Yes, they're doing extremely well right now, but they have to end this game. If it goes to 40 minutes, SK Telecom's going to become very competitive just on the virtue of their composition, unless they have an extremely large gold deficit.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at every lane and ask yourself, which of these champions is stronger in the late game, it's all on SKT's side right now.
Yes.
So it's pretty clear, like you said, what Najin needs to do. And they need
Except
to do
for
it
maybe
fast.
Jarvan, but that's
I suppose, yeah.
But that's the kind of the one exception, and it's not going to be a big enough difference to really matter.
It's not going to be a cataclysmically large change, is what you're saying. Let me all week, guys.
So we'll see how they. It looks like Goog will be heading into the bottom lane right here to get some of that split push pressure on. And
Yep.
Faker's done a good job keeping his tower upright, and that's going to be crucial for any subsequent dragon fights that occur. We've got another minute 20, and Najin really needs this. They need to continue to build on their lead, build on their power spike early in this game. And but with both teams having teleport up, now it'd be fantastic here if Najin could somehow force out a teleport.
We'll see. Everyone except for Bang, rather, grouped up around the mid lane. We'll see. Marin can join him anytime with his teleport, so he might as well be there too. And here we go. Yeah, looks like Goog's going to try to go in on a Bang. A lot of damage done already, and he's got it. Wow, he made that look easy.
Yeah, that's the danger right there, and you just don't have a lot to deal with this Zed at the current time. Bang didn't use his heal, but he has the knockback. Now, typically, if you're split pushing as Tristana, you can get the Zed off you due to rocket jump, due to the knockback from your ultimate. So I'm actually kind of curious how Goog managed to pull that off. Both players use their flash as well, but typically you have one more gap creator on Tristana.
Well, he didn't use his summoner heal as well. Faker just doing a little bit of minion clearing there. And you got to wonder, I mean, we saw the death mark barely not finish him off, and then it was the E that finally did the killing blow. If that summoner heal had been used, maybe he could have created enough difference, but would have been close either way. Great gank by Goong. And that actually gave Kane the opportunity to get deep into the jungle and put down some really good wards as well.
Now, the problem here is Najin doesn't have pressure on mid lane, so SKT is able just to walk right into the river. So they need to do something.
Oh, boy.
There's a teleport coming in. They're using it early. Mundo is going to be doing the blue buff, so Marin trying to take something. He did get the blue buff right there. No, they want control over the dragon.
Looks like they'll be going for it again. Faker has that chance to steal as well. Wolf looking for an opportunity, throws in the death sentence, doesn't hit anyone, just zoning. That's right, the teleport coming in for Marin. Now there's the equalizer going down. Najin engages, and look at that, all over SKT. That is the team fight we were talking about. Another kill as Goong takes down Faker, and Wolf and Bang just left to flee the fight. Wow. That is exactly the danger that Najin's team presented. There you go. That's it right there, guys.
Okay, well, right here, SK Telecom, this is one of those points where you're like, you don't fight that dragon. You take what you can get. Marin had the top lane pushed. Marin could have kept on putting pressure. Marin got their blue buff. I mean, you got what you can get, but look at this engage right there. First off, that's just a great team engage. Now, Watch actually probably should have ulted the backline of Wolf and Faker right there because they already had everybody else locked up with Equalizer and Tibbers. But beyond that, because Wolf would have died right there if Watch had ulted the backline instead. So, but for the most part, a very good engage.
Well, I mean, they got 3 kills. They got the dragon. What more can you really ask for? I mean, SKT, at this point, it is surprising that they really kind of were there for so long because, like you said, it's a team comp that's very reminiscent of what we saw a lot in Season 3 with the Najin especially kind of dragon control style comps with Rumble Jarvan, and here it is again, and what do you know? It's doing the same thing.
Yeah, you just have to, and if you're SKT right there, if the dragon goes, you have to get out immediately because your only hope is to poke them out while they're doing dragon, but Najin just turned that immediately. Good timing from the members, though. very good coordination to go all in like that. And Najin looking very strong.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you know, along with SKT, easily the two strongest teams in Korea, but it really did look like there was a bit of a gap between SKT and Najin, you know, with SKT being the better team. But so far in Game 1, Najin is playing this beautifully.
But again, that was the question. We only saw 2 games.
Yeah, that's
two games
true.
with OQ and Kane. With this roster, 2 games. And it was against CJ, which, given how poor CJ is looking right now, really wasn't a great indicator of how good this Najin team was going to be.
Yeah. Well, I think Game 1 is answering a few questions anyway. And it is only 1 game. It is a best of 3. But now SKT is definitely in a bit of trouble.
Yes, they are. Now, with those 2 dragons down, this is a pretty big lead right now for Najin. If it gets any bigger,
oh boy.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Fights in 2 parts of the map at once right now. Bengi taking a little bit of damage, tries to get away. They already take out Annie. Meanwhile, Goong again takes down Bang in the jungle. Watch getting a bit low himself. Goong comes in to grab another kill. Najin just farming these champions. A double kill, though, coming in for Marin as well. So SKT able to get a little bit out of that, but it still did go in Najin's favor.
Fed, they don't. SK Telecom doesn't really have an answer for this. Marin chose to, because he was against a Rumble, itemize for magic resistance first, so he's not going to be able to split push against Zed. Yeah. Bang is really the only choice, and Bang keeps getting caught out and dying because he has inadequate wards on the bottom side of the map. If SK Telecom wants to push out this bottom lane with Bang, it's going to be up to Bengi and Wolf to get into the blue side, their blue side, get some wards down so that he's not surprised by Zed.
Yep.
He's trying to get his Infinity Edge right now, but he's very delayed. Notice that he actually decided to get a Vamp Scepter in the middle of his build just because he feels like he needs a little bit more sustain to keep himself topped off against this Zed.
Yeah, I mean, it'll help him a little bit more in the duels, but at this point against this Zed, it's not going to make a huge difference, but I suppose any little bit you can get. Looks like Najin's going to try to take this blue buff. Faker throwing in an ability to try to seal it, but it's not going to work out. That is going to be a blue buff going over to OQ.
You know, Doa, I do understand in the draft what SK Telecom was trying to do to put together this full late game comp, but I think it does prevent that big power trough, or present rather that big power trough in the early game, especially when you all in for the early and mid game like Najin did. I would have rather have seen Marin play Renekton this game. As opposed to this Mundo, because even though Mundo would be very strong against Najin's comp, at least they would have some early game pressure against this Rumble, and they wouldn't have been so dependent on the lane swap coming into this as well. Najin called the lane swap, and from then on, it's just been kind of lights out for SK Telecom.
Oh, Goong thinking about going in on Faker, but decides to change his mind there. Yeah, and I think it draws like another Season 3 parallel where back then SKTK was always the team that would lose the first game, adapt, and then come back and win the other one. So we really are kind of back in Season 3 across the board at this point.
Oh wow, Goong actually got tagged by his stun, taking a lot of damage from Marin.
Oh, if he would have been close enough to hit a cleaver, that could have gotten dangerous for Goong.
Yeah, Faker may have been able to actually kill him with an ult if he landed it properly, but Faker's needed that blue buff, and it's been repeatedly denied to him here by Najin, who's done a great job of getting those deep wards in, playing forward on the map, and preventing any kind of map pressure. Najin's just been in the driver's seat this entire game.
Pretty much. Well, SKT at this point, do you feel like they have much of a chance anymore? I mean, you can, with this kind of comp, I suppose you can always just stall, but have they lost too much ground? You know, is the farming potential just not there anymore?
We're really teetering on the edge right now. If it gets any worse for SK Telecom, it'll be very surprising for them to win this game. Now, Faker does have his Zonya, so maybe he can do a little bit more pushing down the lane without fear of Goong Zed, but everybody else a long ways out. I mean, Bang still doesn't have his Infinity Edge, and he needs that before he can even dream of buying a QSS.
That's actually really shocking. I mean, we usually don't see a Tristana owned so badly in the split push situation as Bang has been.
Desperation Baron right there. Tried to get some board control, but Najin is wise to their tricks. Not a bad idea, though. Not a bad idea. It would have taken them a while, but they do have Mundo ult to heal back up.
Well, you saw they were so ready, too, to just leave immediately if Najin showed up. It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, well, we'll give it a try, but we need to be ready to disengage right away. And another Dragon. Dragon number 3 possibly coming in for Najin. It doesn't look like SKT is in any position to stop them.
they're definitely not. And it's unfortunate that SK Telecom did decide to fight the second dragon, because that was really the point where they gave Najin everything they wanted.
Yep.
And now, if they hadn't done that, they may have been actually able to contest the third dragon, but now they can't. Duke.
Wolf on the run. He's an endangered species in that jungle now. Wolves aren't really jungle animals, are they? In that forest, we'll say, I guess.
It's not actually very jungly either.
No.
You know,
It's forest. It's wolves like redwoods, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of coniferous trees in forests. Right, forest,
What?
I mean a jungle, sorry.
What planet are you from? Kane taking a lot of damage. Watch coming in, trapping a few members of SKT. Goong joins the fight, gets exhausted immediately, but not before Wolf goes down, and Najin not done there. Marin, he's getting so low, even with that ult activated, they just burn right through it. Speaking of burning, Duke doing a lot of damage with that flamethrower. Meanwhile, Bang taking down a tier 2 turret, but they're going to lose so much ground at the same time. That is
they actually trade a tower for a tower. They can't. They're too low to push in.
They do need to go back, I guess. Yeah.
Especially with Faker going to revive, it would be very difficult for them to stick around because the snipe potential for the base would be pretty high. But let's take a look at that again. Gets Faker right away, and there we go. Just great ult right into the Jarvan pit. That's what you want to do with the Jarvan Rumble combo. Faker tries to use the Zonias, but not much happening there. Goong immediately getting back under the tower and then escaping with just a sliver of health before they turn on the turret to kill it. Great engage there, but that's the thing. This team comp from Najin has such an extreme amount of engage that if they get ahead, they can dive you very, very easily. And
do dive. It's the Najin way.
It's the new Najin way, yes.
That's right. Well, it was the old Najin way. Now it's again the Najin way. Before it was do zigs. Now it's do dive again. I like this better. I'm happy we're back to do dive.
Do winions was the old
right.
Najin shield way.
Yeah. Effective, but not anywhere near as entertaining.
Yes. Prance around the map until super minions win the game for you.
That's right. I like that you use prance there. I feel like that's a very accurate term.
It's very descriptive of their play.
Just kind of lollygagging a bit even, I would say. Frolicking about.
Carefree, waiting for the minions to do their dirty work for them. But
that's
yes,
right.
the diving Najin.
Very zen, peaceful way. Don't worry, dudes. The minions have got it. Little fight over the red buff. Looks like Najin might get it. They're going to go on to Benki as well. Equalizer hits a lot of member of SKT. That was beautiful. Bang over the wall. Can he get away, though? More damage coming in from Duke. Bang has to try to kite back. Doesn't matter, though. Najin still trades 1 for 2. And we'll see if they're able to turn that into another objective here.
Well, Marin does finally have an armor item, so he's got that going for him, which is nice.
Yeah, proud.
But he has just been a target for Goong. And
yeah, well, everyone's kind of a target for Goong at this point. Faker and Bang able to push back Najin just for the moment, but Faker's got to be so careful. Oh, man. Very fragile still.
Things you don't want to see in a game. 25 minutes in, 8-1 and 6Z.
Yep.
Pretty darn scary. And I still really nobody who can even remotely deal with his split pushing.
Other things you don't want to see in a game are like Mundo versus Mundo blind pick. Yeah, that would not be very fun. Oh, they're trying to come in onto Goong here. They got a little bit of a slow. There's a Q. It's landed. Wolf coming in as well. Tries to bring in Faker with the lantern. Can they finally kill him? There's a flash. Oh, test sentence missed. Somewhere a single tear rolls down Shen's face. It's like Zed is the ninja I always wish I could be.
That was a very ninja-esque escape, wasn't it?
It was, man. He vanished. Well, just right there, too.
Vanishes right to the ground.
See, Zed was the original Rek'Sai because he was clearly tunneling through the ground to go where he needed to go, too. Yeah. Rek'Sai is just a copycat.
I think he actually trained with Rek'Sai.
That's right.
That's where he learned his tricks.
It's a great idea. Like, now this weird, like, bug thing will show you how to be underground. So it's like, all right, cool. Sounds useful. I can dig it. Get it?
Can you dig it?
You can dig it.
You're terrible. All right, here we go.
Here we go. That's not a terrible engage by Najin, really. SKT, though. Oh, they do manage to almost rescue Bang, but Goong managed to get that death sentence off. Wolf's in the back line, though. Goong gets kicked away by Benki. Duke is there, though. Another kill onto Wolf, given to Goong, and Najin just cannot be stopped. Pushing down that mid lane, another 3 kills. Wow, and yeah, why not just go grab Baron at this point? I'd imagine they're heading that direction. Faker, a little bit of frustration on his face there.
Well, he was the one who blind picked Xerath into Zed, and yeah, he did well early, but
oh man,
it's rough. I mean, Xerath's a good champion if you're not playing against an assassin, but
yeah.
when you know Goong, Goong doesn't have the biggest champion pool, but what can Goong play? Zed, Ahri, LeBlanc, all very well. These are all very problematic champions for Xerath to deal with. And
yes, the first pick Xerath may not be wise. Yeah, I just noticed too that Baron is apparently one of those people that doesn't take his Christmas decorations down until like April. You know, well, there we see the engage Faker Zonias right away, but already too late.
Yeah, another great initiation combo right there.
Nice equalizer, splitting up the team.
I like how Goong just allows Goong and Rumble Duke walk forward. They get the ult down, but they continue to pursue the backline and just let the rest of the members of Najin clean up Faker while he's burning from the equalizer. Great team fighting right there. And as a result, they get a lot more kills than they otherwise would have. And Bang again going down to this Zed. And as you can see, our little dragon counter, 3 blue dots.
Nice.
0 red dots. And we're about to see another blue dot right now, and they are inching closer to that very powerful 5 dragon stacks.
That's right. And if we have both colors of dots at the same time, a little Morpheus is going to pop up and ask which one you want. Yeah. Actually, that's not going to happen, but I wish it would. We'll have to talk to OGN about that.
Lawrence Fishburne's head just appears at the bottom of your screen.
I think if that happens, so we need to incorporate the Mortal Kombat thing, and he just goes, Toasty! That happens.
There we go.
That'd be great.
Nailed it.
We have the best ideas. SKT fighting for their lives now. And I don't think they're going to last too much longer. I mean, well, I may have to change that statement, because you can kind of sit in your base and drag things out quite a bit with the champions that they have, but that may not help them win the game. We'll put it that way.
Interesting that we see the Ghost Blade on the Sipper.
Oh, yeah.
So that's actually going to give a lot of split pushing power, and because you can activate it and just knock down towers.
Oh, Marin trying to stop him. Bengi just gets blown up trying to go in and make a play. Didn't work. Watch manages to trap Marin. They get the flash. Goon comes in, gets the double kill, and they're going to be happy with an inhibitor after that. And they're just going to go, man. I mean, okay. Yeah, not enough minions, I suppose. Why not play it safe?
Go ahead and take another inhibitor.
Yep.
Najin has to win via super minions. They're not actually.
That's right.
You know the Najin players are actually instructed never to hit the Nexus.
I think that's true, actually. I read that somewhere. You know, it must be true. That's right. Reach is, you know, he just like, he looks in through the booth window. He can't say anything, but he just looks at Goong and he shakes his head when Goong gets close to the Nexus. Goong's like, okay. If you go home to like Reach's apartment, there's like framed pictures of super minions above his bed and stuff like that. Little candles around him. Those super minions deliver us victory tonight.
Oh, Goong has a GA now. That's not good. Oh, we got a Hex Drinker while he was at it. Here we go.
Yeah, well, it's not good for Faker anyway. Faker gets away on the Lantern. Goong a lot of damage already. There's his Zonias to prevent that death mark from doing its work. Oh, what an equalizer. SKT split up again. Duke taking some damage, though. Bang in the back line. Faker very low. Watch, just assigned to jungle 1v3 it, I guess. Marin manages to escape here, so no kills quite yet. Oh, spoke too soon. Bengi having to flash. Will they be able to finish him? They will. OQ comes from the side. Now going in onto Bang. A lot of damage done to him already. Wolf gets a death sentence onto Kane, and the poke's not going to matter. Look at all that damage coming in from Duke as well. And Faker, from downtown.
And nearly gets the double.
Almost gets it. He's on fire. But no.
More
this game
on electric, actually.
I know. Whoa, Faker just got NBA jammed. And Goong is the one who's truly on fire this game, as it looks like Najin is going to be allowed now that the super minions are in the base to end the game. And that is it. GG, guys. Najin taking the first game of Champion Spring against SK Telecom.
Yeah. Najin showing that they can hang with the best here in Korea after a tough loss in the preseason. Great
crush
play.
The best.
Well, to be honest, I think this was very much exacerbated by SK Telecom's pretty poor pick and ban phase.
Yeah.
I think they'll adapt, and we won't see such a one-sided game in the second one of the night.
Well, we've certainly seen SKT be able to adapt like that in the past and come back and win in some very, very down-and-out situations. But it's got to feel good to take that first game against a player like Faker.
Yeah.
The gods tremble.
Bengi, too. pretty questionable game. 0-7-3.
Yeah.
Meantime, 13-1-7 score out of Zed. That's something you don't want to see if you're on the enemy team.
That's something you just don't want to see ever, really.
Hey, I liked watching it.
Even if you are Zed, you're like, whoa, I'm getting a little bit too many kills this game. This is getting a little bit frightening for me, even.
I'm a little bit out of control right now, but
That's
Duke.
right. Somebody stop me.
Duke with some great ults that game as well. He really followed up on the initiations nicely, made the most out of Watch's Cataclysms and the Sivir ult as well.
Yep.
Got in there, and great Rumble play.
OQ showing up when he needed to, getting work done.
Yeah, we will be coming into game 2. Remember, this is going to be a best of 3. Najin is dominating. That is true. They did just dominate pretty hard.
Pretty much a good description of game 1. Yeah, and I'd agree with that fan right there. You got it right. We'll be back for game 2, guys, right after this. Don't go anywhere.